I'm always nervous.
Me too. We'll be nervous together.
Every single time. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of DV Live City Talk. I'm Amanda Akam, the marketing coordinator at Desert Valleys Federal Credit Union. And before we jump into today's episode, I would like to preface that we will be talking about a sensitive, sometimes people call them triggering subject regarding addiction treatment. So, and also before we jump in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on a conversation. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to today's episode.
Thank you.
So for everyone watching, can you just tell us real quick who you are, what you do, and a fun fact about yourself?
Hi. So I'm Hani Chaabo. I'm a family and integrative medicine physician at Ridgecrest Regional Hospital. I run our integrative stress reduction clinic, which focuses on mental health, wellness, and prevention. And one of the days we have is just dedicated for addiction and Suboxone treatment.
Okay. Very fun.
And a fun fact. So a fun fact about me is I have 2 cats. I love cats. Cats bring me joy.
Okay.
And I can never see my life without cats ever again.
What are their names?
Rumi and Oshi.
Oh, okay. And what type of cats?
RagaMuffins.
What?
Yeah.
What's a ragamuffin?
RagaMuffin is the most cuddly cat you can ever get in your life. It's basically a dog.
Okay, perfect. I'm a dog person and a chicken person.
I love dogs and chickens.
We all know
too.
I love my chickens.
Nice.
What is it? A Maine Coon.
Oh, yes. I love Maine Coons.
Those giant. I've never seen one in real life. I really want to see one. And maybe potentially adopt one.
It's so funny. Our director at our clinic right now just got a Maine Coon, and it's like a few weeks old, and it's already the size of a big cat, and it's
really
adorable. Oh my god!
And it has
so
the
cute.
little like fluffy ear, like or the
Pointy
tips on the ears.
Yeah.
I don't know. They look fantastic.
Me too.
Obviously, I only have a dog at home, but
Nice.
you know.
Nice. We all need furry friends.
Yes. I think he would do well even with cats. He's so easygoing and laid back and just does his thing.
They're like their owners, so I'm not surprised.
He must take over after my kid then. Because obviously we need to do some breathing techniques before the show. So today we're just going to dump right on in. I'm sorry, everybody. Jump right on into today's episode. There's a Suboxone clinic located in Ridgecrest, California. So you want to tell us about maybe some backstory on how it came to be and location?
Okay, so our Suboxone clinic came about because there's an opioid epidemic in this country, especially in our area. So some stats about the opioid epidemic, there's about 100,000 people that died from a drug overdose in 2021. About 9 million people misused prescription opioid medications. About 3 million people had an opioid use disorder.
What is an opioid use disorder?
It means that they misuse their prescribed opioids, or they end up using opioids off the street, like heroin, for example.
Okay.
And about 900,000 people used heroin in 2020. So the opioid epidemic is definitely of large proportions. And unfortunately, even though as doctors, we try to address it by prescribing less opioids.
Right.
So we have 10 years of data that showed that we reduced the number of prescriptions by about 50%. But the number of deaths from opioid overdose is still going up. It went up by 4 times over that same 10-year period. So us prescribing less opioids has not helped the problem. It's not solved the problem, and the problem is getting worse. There's also a statistic from LA County that showed that fentanyl deaths soared about 1,200% between 2016 and 2021.
1,200%?
Yes.
That is wild. I was not prepared for those numbers there.
Me too, when I read them. That's why we're doing this.
Yes, that's why we're here. I will disclaimer for everyone as well, like this topic hits very close to home. We were discussing this beforehand. My husband wakes up every day and he is a recovering addict, coming up with 3.5 years. And
congratulations.
Yes. Congratulations, Darren. You are fantastic.
You are fantastic. And he's helping others now, which is amazing.
Yes. And it's real. Even a few years ago, it was like a stigma. You don't talk about it and it's not a problem, but it's very real and no one knows how to really approach it before it's like already there.
Right.
And I will admit I was in with the people that went during his addiction, not only did it destroy our family, his family, him himself. It's hard.
Of course.
And how do you approach a problem that you want swept under the rug, but you want to fix it?
Right.
So I'm very, very excited for this clinic.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that. Like I really believe that the people that will help the most in this epidemic are the people that have gone through it, recovered, healed, and now are sharing their healing with others.
Yes.
I really think that's like the most important way to address this. And of course, there's medicines like Suboxone, which we're going to talk about more, which are life-saving. And there's also, so we are actually part of a statewide effort. We have a grant from the California Bridge Initiative, which has now enrolled more than 200 hospitals around California.
Wow. For specifically just the clinic part, the Suboxone clinic?
So it's not really Suboxone clinic. It's more about connecting people who come into the ER with addiction issues or with overdose or with intoxication to navigators that can help them achieve care within the community.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So that's what we're part of. We have our ED set up so that we have also a navigator that goes to the ED every time there's patients there that are struggling with substance use.
Is that the emergency?
Yes, emergency department.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
It's okay. It's always a fun time on our DV Lives. Everyone talks acronyms, and I'm like, ooh, I get to learn something new. They're very fun.
Yes. Thank
okay,
you for
so
asking
emergency department.
Yes. So we have this person who basically, her name is Tara, and she goes to the ED every time there's a patient there who's identified with substance use, and we connect them to our clinic for treatment, and we also connect them to mental health services within the community.
So that is fantastic that it dives deeper just beyond the, okay, you did this, but what's the root of the problem? Like what leads to that, I guess, in a way.
What leads to addiction and substance use.
Yes.
So we don't know, we think that there's an element that's genetic. We think there's an element that's familial. If you grew up in a family where substance use was an issue, you are more at risk of having substance use as an adult or even as a child.
Seeing it or because of being around it as like the norm?
Yes.
Okay.
So being around it as the norm and also just seeing it and not having kind of regulated authority figures in your life that causes dysregulation within you that makes you go towards escapism and substance use.
Okay.
And so, there's so many elements there. There's also an environmental element. We don't know why some people just use drugs recreationally, not get addicted, have functional lives, can let go of it, never use it again. And other people, it ruins their entire life.
Yeah.
We don't know why. So it's definitely multi-dimensional. And I think that's why,
as with every human being on this earth.
yeah, it's never clear and simple, is it?
No.
I wish it was, and that's why it's important for us to couple both the medicine to the mental health part.
Okay, so you said are there requirements to be seen? Sorry.
No requirements. We prescribe Suboxone to 16 years old and above.
Oh, okay.
So that's mainly the only kind of big requirement is you have to be 16 or above.
So you don't have to come in under the influence to be prescribed?
No.
How does that work?
So,
okay.
Preferably we don't like people coming in under the influence.
Okay.
People usually come in more likely in withdrawal, which is when is a good time to start medication.
Okay.
We encourage people to come. It doesn't matter if they are feeling like their world is falling apart or that they can't fix the problem. Like no matter what you're feeling, just come to the clinic, come see us, because often you need the help. You need somebody to hold your hand and guide you through it. But we ask people to come with an open mind to being treated with medicine for this condition, because a lot of people have gone through it many times and fallen off the wagon.
Yes.
And this healing and recovery is not about staying on the wagon. It's about getting back on as quickly as possible and trying to stay on as long as possible.
See, and that's one thing I have, perfectionism. I know that's my toxic trait.
Guilty.
Hi, it's me.
Me too.
I'm the problem.
I'm the problem.
It's me. 100%. It's my thing. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I understand better now, I should say, seeing it and being able to openly talk with my husband about the issues or how it happened and at least his story. And in his walk of life, I have met many other recovering addicts who are at the same point so open to talk and helping. And these numbers just blew my mind even more than knowing them. But I completely understand where you say it's not about staying on the wagon. It's about you fall off, you get back on as quick as possible.
As quick as possible, as long as possible. And when you fall, it's a normal part of that equation.
Yes.
And that's why we're here as well, is we're here to catch you at that moment as well. Thank you for saying.
Yeah. Like I said, this is, I feel like, a very important topic, resource, everything.
Thank you.
That I hope sheds some light.
Me too.
For people.
Me too. We're really trying our best to, make people feel safe that they can come see us, to also have avenues of people referring to us. Because a lot of the times, people don't just show up because they want to.
Yes.
They'll show up because it's causing problems in their family or it's causing problems in their work life. It's also, sometimes it's not noted by the patients themselves. It's noted by the people around them, asking them to come or referring them. Like, for example, children being referred from the schools or people being referred from the churches. So we encourage, within the community as well, if you're listening to us,
yes,
if you know somebody that needs help, don't be afraid to encourage them to seek the help, because often those people will not seek help themselves because of fear of stigma.
Yes.
And this is a community effort. And if we are going to solve this problem, it's definitely going to be a group effort. That's for sure.
And I think having this stepping stone for people to be welcomed into helps make it more relatable versus tough love aspect or being forced into or berating people.
Yes,
Which
absolutely.
I am guilty of doing all those things in the past. They don't work.
We all are. I think we all have an inner judge, right? That rears its head in different ways. And non-judgment and compassion are, definitely our pillars. Some other things we do in our clinic are related to mindfulness, and we teach people about mindfulness and stress reduction, lifestyle change, those kinds of things, which also tie into the addiction treatment. And one of the biggest pillars of mindfulness is non-judgment, is compassion. That's why when you see our billboard, it says compassionate care is here.
Yes.
Because compassion is what heals in this situation, not judgment, not berating.
I know,
Yes.
I know.
And that applies to so many things, right?
It's been a long journey, let me tell you. So backstory is my husband and I have been on and off like dating together for about 16 years.
Wow.
I know.
Amazing.
And together since 2015. I mean, there was a brief stint in there where obviously he went through addiction. And personally, I made the choice to cut ties for our son at that time. And here we are now. So there's restoration. We've gone through it all. And like I said, every day he wakes up, it's just amazing. So
thank you for sharing that, because people need to hear that.
And he let me tell everyone everything. This guy's, don't worry. I'm not going to go home and he's going to be like packing his stuff and
Why
leaving.
are you revealing all my life?
He's a great resource. Like, people will ask, and he's great to talk about it, be open as much as he can be for his situation. And I keep saying that because, like we said, every person's different.
Absolutely. And you know what? Going through aspects like that, it's a trauma. Like, I'm pretty sure you have a little bit of trauma from that experience. He has a lot of trauma probably from that experience.
And what's crazy is, he never, not that I wanted to be, but he never invited me into that lifestyle, thankfully. And he knew, I've even asked, why? Not that I wanted to, but he said, I never wanted you to end up where I did. And he's like, I never thought I would end up there either. So
And
there is still humanity in addicts.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I would say that there is the most humanity in people who go through difficulties like that. It's really, difficulties are what make us human. And, since telling your story is part of the healing of trauma.
Yes.
It literally rewires your brain past the trauma to be able to tell your story. So I'm so happy that you can share his story here with us and with everyone hearing this.
Yeah, he would. I offered for him to be here, but he's on night shifts and he's also very scared of the camera.
Me too.
It's okay. It's okay, guys. So he has used Suboxone in the past,
Yes.
and I know there's different forms. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes.
Or maybe why Suboxone versus methadone, any of those items?
Absolutely. So Suboxone versus methadone. So Suboxone is a 2-in-1 medication. It has buprenorphine, which is considered a partial opioid agonist, which means it's going to sit on the receptor of opioids in the brain, which is what is stimulated when we do the opioid drugs. So the buprenorphine will come and sit on that receptor so that it reduces cravings.
So it's kind of like here's the receptor, and it's kind of like
sitting right on it.
Just hanging out?
Hanging out on it, absolutely. And it does that in a partial way, which means that it'll cut the craving, but it won't give us the high that we would usually get from an opioid. The second part of Suboxone is called Naloxone. And what basically Naloxone does is it kicks off, if a person does consume opioids while they're on Suboxone, it kicks off the opioid so that it doesn't cause a high. So technically, if somebody does opioids while they're on Suboxone, they will not feel high. And that's more of a deterrent to do the drug.
Oh.
But the flip side of that is if you do opioids while you're on Suboxone and you're not feeling it and you do more and more and more, then you can overdose without even going through a high first.
Without even...
Yeah. So there's that's a double-edged sword there, but it definitely helps, knowing that I'm on something where if I go and do a drug, I'm not going to feel anything. Why would I go into it, right?
Yeah.
And compared to methadone, so methadone is a full opioid agonist. It's kind of like, turning down the volume on the high of doing any kind of opioid. So you still get a little bit of a high from it. Which is why it's starting to become kind of phased out as a treatment. But for people who don't benefit from Suboxone, it can definitely be beneficial.
Okay.
Because some people need that as a step down towards Suboxone. So it could be kind of like an
so you
step.
could, was it taper
Absolutely.
or switch down your course of treatment?
Some people do so much opioids that they need a little bit of a stimulant in their medicine to help them with the withdrawal symptoms and the cravings. And so it's a good kind of like middle towards going towards Suboxone.
So some other things with Suboxone is pain management, maybe? Okay, so can you dive into that a little bit for us?
Yes. So Suboxone can be used for pain management. The only difference is instead of taking it once a day, we divide it into daily divided doses. So it could be 2 times, 3 times, 4 times a day.
Oh.
And that's often helpful for people who want to get off like things like Percocet and Norco and all those kind of opiates and want to do something safer, less addictive, and has some pain management for sure.
That's awesome that there's more to it. Look at that. Look at this little wonder.
It's a great medicine.
So do people get sick from it then if they're on it, come off? Things like that.
It's a very, very benign medication.
Okay.
We give it to pregnant mothers, breastfeeding mothers. So it's pretty safe. I've not seen it cause any major side effects.
Wow.
The only kind of thing that can happen is while you're going. So we start it usually when a person is withdrawing. While you're going through the withdrawal process, because there's that part of it that kicks the opioid off the receptor, it can make the withdrawal happen faster and be more intense. That's why we prescribe medications with the Suboxone during the withdrawal period to calm down the withdrawal.
Okay.
So we don't just say, here, take Suboxone, good luck. See you tomorrow. Bye. We don't just do that. We're preventative. We give other medications that help with the anxiety and the withdrawal symptoms. But other than that, it's a pretty safe medication.
Which let me tell you, witnessing withdrawal, I can only imagine instantly coming. Yeah. It's not a fun time.
Not at all. I honestly, I feel so bad for my patients who go through withdrawal because it really is one of the most difficult things to go through. And I think, a part of that is horrible, and a part of that is good to kind of, you don't want to go through a painful experience again. So, something about going through withdrawal is also very powerful and anchoring so that you don't do the thing again.
And again, that was like something personally where I'm like, why would you continue to do this to yourself?
Yes.
And I've also been that person that says, well, you did it to yourself. Figure it out, do it. And it's just, I lacked that compassion key for a while.
Which is hard, right? For a family member who's going, you have a young kid, etc. Like, that's really hard to stay connected to your compassion because you're also in fight or flight in those moments.
Yeah.
You can't be connected to compassion and fight or flight at the same time. Those are two different areas in your brain.
Oh, dang. Really?
Yeah. So, it's you didn't do anything that most people would do. So I feel like maybe there's more also compassion for yourself for what you had to go through in that moment.
And
absolutely.
Anyone watching, I just want them to know it's normal. There's different stages, it's not just like one straight road that's all pretty with daisies and grass.
That's right. That's right. It's a messy road.
It's very messy.
That's why you need all the help that you can get. Everybody that can be on your side, especially your doctor, especially the nurses at, in your life, in the clinics you go to.
Well, and I think this is great to explain what it does, so it can help people integrate back into their daily life.
Yes.
And not feel ashamed or, they're getting help.
Yes.
Like, why would that be a shameful process?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, the more we can normalize the healing journey and remove shame as part of the healing journey, the more powerful the healing journey becomes. In fact, I think what the biggest saboteur of the healing journey is shame, guilt, blame.
Yes.
To me, those three things are like taking out a whip and whipping yourself, because every one of our thoughts has an emotion attached to it. So if I'm rolling around shame, guilt, blame in my head while I'm recovering from addiction, all I'm doing is taking out a whip with my emotions and whipping myself. And that makes me want to escape that feeling even more. So I'm more likely to go do the things that make me escape, like substances, if I'm taking out that whip and whipping myself. So in essence, when you say, why do you keep doing this to yourself? There is an element of truth in that, in the way that people are kind of reflecting on their healing journey. And that's that shame, guilt, blame part. If we can turn that voice off during the healing journey, we are much more likely to recover faster and stay in recovery.
That's interesting. So good. So good. Where were you 8 years ago?
I could ask the same question to myself.
Dang it.
Definitely wasn't there 8 years ago myself.
That's a whole journey.
Yes, for all of us, absolutely.
Whole journey.
Yeah.
So forms that are offered at the clinic, pill and sublingual?
Yes. So it does come in pill form and also as a sublingual film.
Okay.
So those are both options. Usually we prescribe a sublingual film.
Okay.
But we don't have a preference. And those are the only two forms for Suboxone.
And what would be, is it just patient preference then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, some people, they can't keep the film because of, they don't have teeth or something, so they prefer the pill. So it's just about preference. There's no
Now the
good or
film
bad.
looks like those little Listerine strip things, right?
Does.
Okay, I can relate those things even with my teeth. I don't like. Like, it's slimy. It's not fun. Like,
yes.
Frog legs. That's all I think. Frog legs.
There you go.
Not fun.
We know what your preference is. Hopefully we'll never need to prescribe you that, but.
Yes. And only because, obviously, I've seen the forms from my husband when he was recovering or attempting to recover. And I was like, what is this? What is going on? Because I'll be honest, he got it off the street. And I was like, what is this? Like, I'm thinking...
Another drug.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what are you doing now? And he's like, no, it's to help me. And I'm like, why don't you go to a doctor? Why are you doing this off the street?
Yeah, it's, what's funny is Suboxone does seem to be sold a lot on the street. Like, people divert their prescriptions and stuff. And the funny part of this is that in a way that's obviously horrible. Like we should never be diverting our prescription medicines.
No.
But also there's, that tends to make people want to come and seek recovery. So when they get it from their friends, I have a lot of patients, I got Suboxone from my friend. And I thought, you know what? I was doing okay. Like maybe I should get on it. So this is another one of those situations where it's
weird.
Actually, it might not be that horrible that it's being, it's better than getting fentanyl off the streets, getting Suboxone off the street versus getting fentanyl, because Suboxone is going to make you more likely to want to stay on Suboxone. And one thing also I like to highlight about Suboxone is it is life-saving. There's studies that showed that the mortality rate or the rate of people dying who have opioid use disorder is 6 times that of the general population. Because of overdose and lifestyle and all those kind of things, stress, all those things. When we put those people on Suboxone, that risk goes down from 6 times to 2 times.
Really?
So it's almost equal to the general population. It's that life-saving. In fact, it's more life-saving in its efficacy and the way it kind of works than aspirin for a heart attack or steroids for a failing lung condition. There's a number in medicine called number needed to treat.
Okay.
Which helps us understand, how many people do I need to treat with this medicine to save a life or to have treatment success? For aspirin, I need to treat 42 people with aspirin to save 1 life from a heart attack. For steroids, I need to treat 10 people to prevent 1 treatment failure with steroids.
Okay.
For Suboxone, it's 2. I need to treat 2 people to make sure that they stay in treatment. So it's one of the most efficacious medicines we have. But because of the stigma associated with opioid use, people don't seek it. And in fact, because we have all this data now, the DEA had something called an X waiver that people had to do as prescribers to be able to prescribe the Suboxone. So you had to go through kind of like a gateway before you could prescribe Suboxone. That's why not everybody in the US was prescribing it.
Oh.
The DEA just removed the X waiver because it's so life-saving. So now anyone can prescribe Suboxone, which is great.
Really?
It's wonderful. Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful.
It's just getting the person to walk in or through the door to get.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I know someone was mentioning about how to administer Narcan. There was a TikTok showing people how to do that. Cool. And it's like, how can people get Narcan and I can't get an EpiPen? And it is a struggle and a balance. Yeah. And I think, though, it's that stigma with it as well.
That's right.
Of saving the life. Like, yes, an EpiPen would save my life. Please don't put me near bees. Don't kill me. But I understand the same way, too. Again, my husband has told me before he's had to be woken up out of an overdose with ice, like an ice bath. And we all know me with the ice bath at the beginning of this episode, so. But he's also been administered Narcan and everything, and he is just a testament. He's like, you don't want to do it. But he's thankful, and I'm thankful he's here today.
I'm thankful too, absolutely.
For the fact that there's this resource, I think it helps family members know, like, hey, we can help you get here. It's non-judgment. It's easily accessible.
Yes, it is. It is. Actually, part of the California Bridge model is low barrier treatment. So we have walk-ins.
Okay.
Monday, you can just walk in. You don't need an appointment. Just show up on Monday. We've set up the ER so that if you're seen at the ER for intoxication or withdrawal or overdose, they automatically put you on the Suboxone there. And then they give you enough to get you to your appointment on Monday, and our navigator will come see you.
So if it's Friday or I guess Saturday at 2 a.m. and you come in, they'll give you enough to last until Monday to see you.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
Absolutely. We've set all that up so that people can just send patients to us so that we stop shoving this problem under the rug. Some statistics from Ridgecrest and from Trona and Kern from our county, really. So our county has about 2.5 times more meth use and prescription killer use than the rest of California. So our county, Kern County.
Really?
Yeah. So it's definitely a bigger problem in Kern County than it is in a lot of other places in California.
That's wild, especially considering like the size of LA County.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But that makes sense, right? Because people who usually struggle with addiction sometimes, won't be able to afford living in the bigger cities. So they go to the smaller cities and the even smaller cities like our area. So in fact, actually in Kern, for example, the rate of opioid-related overdose death per 100,000 people in California in general is 16.8. In Kern, it's 54.6.
Just in Kern alone.
Yeah. In Trona, it's 32.5. So double the rest of California. And Ridgecrest is 22.9.
Wow.
So still higher than the rest of California. So we definitely have a problem here. And if we're closing our eyes and we're not seeing it, it's not solving the problem. So we created this setup to allow people to just address it. If you have family members, if you have friends, if you know someone who knows someone, now you have a resource in town. So please use it.
Yes. And so where is the clinic located?
Yes. The clinic is located at the main campus of Ridgecrest Regional Hospital.
Okay.
In the mental health department. So most people know where the pharmacy is. We're right next to the pharmacy.
For all of us old school people, you mean Old Drummond?
Yes, Old Drummond.
Old Drummond.
That's exactly where we are. Absolutely. Yes. In fact, I think my clinic room was his living room or something.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure about that fact, but somebody told me like this was part of his house or something. So
interesting. Yeah. I'm gonna have to come down. Maybe we'll have to do it like on location and go sit there
anytime.
And your hours of operation?
Yeah, so we're open from 7 till about 6 p.m. Monday to Thursday. Even if we're not open, I just want to stress, like, if you're struggling with this problem, you're hearing us right now, you're like, oh my God, I need treatment right now, but they're not open, go to the ER and get treatment started at the ER, and we will take over from there.
So yeah, if it is 7 p.m. on a Thursday and you're listening to this while, I don't know, cooking dinner or something like that, and you're like, wait, this is resonating, you can go to the ER and they can start.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. And I will make sure to link to phone contacts, website, everything in the show notes for today.
Yeah, our website is www.rh.org/detox.
And so for someone who's having substance use issues right in this second, where would they go? What would they do?
So if we're not available, we're open from 7 in the morning to 6 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If we're not available, go to the ER. That's always going to be the first place you want to think of if you're having a substance use issue. If we're not open. If we're open, come to our clinic on Mondays.
Just walk on in.
We take walk-ins.
Mondays.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other day, you can come to our clinic and we can probably fit you in. And if we can't, we will direct you to the ER.
Okay, because they can start the treatment until.
Yes.
That is still fantastic. I think just the fact that someone knows, okay, well, I'm in this time frame, I'm stuck. It takes away that hindrance, that avoidance.
Absolutely.
And knowing that they can get help right in that moment, especially because it can be a crisis.
Oh, yeah.
It can be an issue even for someone who has been recovering.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
We just found out of one of our friends. And, you know, I asked my husband all the questions, like, why? Like, he was doing so well. He, like, everything in his life, you would think, up and up, fantastic. And this was a new thing for me. He was like, I bet you he was celebrating. And I was like, huh. And he's like, most normal people, I want to celebrate. You know, I got this job promotion. I got to see my child today. I haven't seen him in forever. Or just something small, they go and have a drink. And that's socially acceptable.
Right.
For addicts, sometimes they revert back to something else.
Right.
So for someone having an issue, I think it's fantastic that they have these resources. They're not limited to this box of hours of, you know, normal operations.
Right.
And they can go and get help.
Thank you for saying that. Absolutely. It's so important. You know, if you're listening to this and you're struggling with this issue, to know that you have somewhere to go at any moment here in Ridgecrest. Absolutely.
It's fantastic. So again, I will link to everything in the show notes and contact information. And if there's any way I can help you guys feel free to drop me a message, come visit me, grab me off the street and be like, hey, where's that place that I need to go again? So
thank you so much. Thank you for having me and highlighting our clinic and
absolutely
for sharing so vulnerably and for being who you are and doing what you do. Thank you so much.
And a huge thank you to my husband who's probably watching. Thank you
thank you to him.
Yeah, letting me pick your brain and bring some little tidbits today.
Yes, he's definitely a hero. Thank you so much.
So I look forward to coming down and doing a walk through the clinic.
You're welcome anytime.
Everybody, thank you for watching today. And again, if you need any help with substance use, I will link in the notes or just be sure to visit Ridgecrest Regional Hospital. And as for tonight, make sure you head on over to the City of Ridgecrest YouTube and watch this evening's City Council meeting. Bye, guys.